This is even worse news. Big news. I talked about it previously, and this is really bad news. Like seriously, Isekai Ojisan is cancelled. Okay, that makes all something. I used to react in the review episode 7. Great episode with that kind of like confession scene, almost right, links or whatever. And it's talking about a month ago, right? There were 2 episodes. There was a 2-week break a month ago because of like production issues, and then it was issues with like some corona or something, right? And now then they just announced, or a few hours ago, but I just saw it, right, that it is completely over now. Basically, I don't think they're gonna. I don't know. Maybe we're lucky and come back earlier, but last time, right, and that's already a 2-week break because of production issues. Now they're like the break is forever. Yeah, this reminds me, for example, when Toei, was hacked and it was like One Piece is on a break, and they were like, "It's on a break, right?" And it was like a few months. They didn't say any date, right? And the thing is that this means that it's going to go into the next season, right? Now it is airing on Netflix, so it might still drop on Netflix anytime when they're finally done, right? But the thing is that because of that reason, maybe they have to drop the rest of the season, right? One day or something, and it might be next year. So it's basically So here is the tweet. Trust a few guys. So it's basically saying that it's suspended, forever. Yeah, it's like indefinite delay. It's cancelled. It's like we will eventually keep working on it, right? It's no coming back date. There's no next air date. It says here they're gonna just keep re-airing. The next episode. This is the whole month here, right? So yeah, this is the rest of September. So at least it's a 4 weeks delay. Bare minimum, right? It's a month delay. Given this, you can see here they're gonna. Yeah, I mean you don't know Japanese to understand this. I hope it's like they're gonna re-air 3, 4, 5, 6, right, during September. So and then after September, right, you're into October. I know, October to September. My point is that that's next season, right? So they already missed 2 weeks, and there's gonna be another 6 weeks, right? So that means they're gonna skip over half the season, right? So a normal season of anime is 12 or 13 episodes, so 12 weeks or 13 weeks, right? I think most animes are 12, some are 13. That's kind of the average value there, right? And yeah, so bare minimum, this anime is gonna skip over then, right, half a season. And they already have aired, and of course, 7 episodes this week. So that means that they're basically not gonna air it at all this season. And there is no coming back date, right? So it might be next year, might be next October. And as I was saying with these things, is that I think people forget about this. They're not living in Japan or whatever. But these anime actually do air in Japan, on TV and so on. And the issue, of course, is that if you completely skip a season or whatever, you miss the thing. It means that we're going into October, right? Then we're gonna have, Mob Psycho, Chainsaw Man, etc. So, we're gonna have all these, other animes, right? Which means that whatever time slot Isekai Ojisan has, right? I don't know what anime is gonna replace it, but my point, of course, is that let's say that Mob Psycho is gonna take the same time slot that Isekai Ojisan has, right? And then they can't then broadcast Isekai Ojisan on that time. So even if they get the production back, right? Let's say 3 months from now, then on Wednesday, that time is going to be Mob Psycho. They can't just come in and say, "Oh, we're going to air Isekai Ojisan," right? So I don't know what they're going to do, but it sounds like they're going to have to either air it some completely other day, right? I am thinking it is a benefit that it is on Netflix. So what might happen is that they won't air it again, right, on TV or whatever, because they can't get the broadcast time or whatever. But they might then, of course, be able to drop the rest of the episodes on Netflix. So I will see that thing. It does sound to me like it's completely cancelled from actually airing on TV, right, in Japan and so on. But I suppose they're gonna drop it on Netflix eventually, right? So it's a little bit the benefit of actually being Netflix for once, there, right? The benefit of actually being in Netflix jails for one is that they're probably gonna just drop the whole thing then or something, right? But it's very weird. I don't think we haven't seen this since the beginning of Corona. Yeah, we haven't seen anything like this. What I can remember since kind of Hokubotoshi and this other fishing anime. There was some other animes that kind of started airing, and then of course Corona COVID outbreak happened, right? And then of course there were anime saying "Oh, we indefinitely cancelled, or we might return," and then return a year later, half year later. That was kind of random, right? And some animes, of course, said, "Okay, it's supposed to air in summer season. It's gonna be in fall season instead of so on, right? So they kind of skip the season." But here is just like we probably won't be airing it at any time soon. It sounds like it's gonna come next year or something. Like Netflix is gonna binge. Netflix is gonna like drop a batch next year maybe or something. I don't know. It sounds very strange. I'm guessing like the voice actors are, sick or something, right? So they can't record it, and maybe it's hyperbolic saying cancelled, but at least it's like indefinitely on delayed. So yeah, that's it, man, guys. Big bad news here, and I guess I'm not surprised in the sense that this anime already been delayed for 2 weeks, right? And also this week, there's some comments about it. I didn't know that, but because I read the comment section, so leave a comment below. People talked about the comments that on Netflix there was some issues in some regions this week. So depending on where you live or whatever, right? It didn't like drop in some regions, only in whatever Japan and so on. So there was some productions here too, and my guess would be that because this is happening, right? As I said in the comment section on Wednesday, I was like, maybe there is some kind of other production issues, right? And that's why they maybe haven't done translation or whatever this version for this region or whatever, right? So yeah, it might be some lack there too. So that's probably gonna delay it even more, right? So you can kind of see how it was already like kind of crackling. Yeah, they already missed out on 2 weeks, and then there was like some weird issues on Netflix with it, right? So you can kind of see how it's like, it's like it's building up more and more from issues, right? So I think it's terrible news. I mean, Isekai Ojisan is my favorite comedy anime this season. One of the best this year, right? Ojisan really speaks to me. I'm an old nerd, right? He's all like retro gaming. He's an old nerd, I love it. I love the Sonic reference episode. So yeah, I think it's poor. For me, Wednesday is like the best anime day, right? We got Made in Abyss with Faputa and so on, right? And the other characters, who cares? Faputa is everything to me. Faputa and Nanashi. And of course, it's Ojisan. Yeah, they released some like half hours between each other. I mean, I love it, right? I love it. So Wednesday is my favorite anime day, probably followed by Saturday then, at least like a recall and One Piece and so on, right? So yeah, it's bad. But I guess we will. Maybe we will get it eventually, right? But not this season at all then. And yeah, who knows next season, right? So, but next season is crazy though with all that. Next season is the most crazy season ever, right? We're gonna have all these amazing animes coming, and it's also unfortunate. This is the last thing here, right? It's also very unfortunate because of course Isekai Ojisan, as talked about in my Bleach video, shout out Bleach being in Disney jail, right? Isekai Ojisan is like summertime rendering is losing a lot of its traction and fame and whatever, right? Being in Netflix jail. Netflix jail is hurting animes, right? Disney jail, as we see with Summertime Render, the first anime, also hurt net anime. Obviously, because it's the same thing in Netflix jail, so it's going to be the same thing, right? And of course, as I said, Bleach jail is probably going to be the same thing, right? But what we see here then, right, this is really bad, right? Because yeah, the anime is already losing, I think, a lot of steam, right? Being on Netflix. If it was on Crunchyroll or whatever, it would have more views and so on, right? There would be more viewers watching it. There would be more people watching it, right? So it's already hurting it. And now this happening too, right? Already had one delay, now it's infinite delay. This anime is like dead now, seriously. It's gonna come back like next year or whatever. And I mean, even if it comes back next season, let's say December then, right? It's gonna come back in like, Chainsaw Man, Mob Psycho, My Academia, Bleach, all the other anime is gonna be on the airing. Still gonna be in Netflix jail. I'm sorry for Ojisan, man. Ojisan is dead, man. Yeah, Ojisan is freaking, already being, in Netflix jail. And then these happenings, it's terrible. It's really terrible. Like, it's like a death sentence for this anime. I mean, seriously, right? Again, I think it's the best comedy anime this season. I really mean it. Lycos Rico is really funny too, right? But they're kind of different. I don't really feel it's the same type of comedy, I guess. Lycos Rico is like kawaii, cute girls shooting people, kawaii comedy, weirdness. Shisato Genki stuff. And but I think that this is my favorite comedy anime. Yeah, like, he speaks to me, right? His nerdy retro jokes. Like last episode when he joked about jumping on goblins, but they're avoiding him. That really cracks me up, right? So I think it's a huge lose. It really is. And again, it is terrible that anime is already being screwed over by being on Netflix. Netflix never talks about it, so right? Netflix jail, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna delay it for another like 3 months or something, 4 months, 5 months. Who knows, right? Yeah, it's like cake on cake, layer on layer of shit, right? So that's what it is, guys. The very, very, very bad news. Isekai Ojisan is over, at least for this year probably. It's gonna come back next. Gonna come back. It's probably gonna come back in like the final week of all the other anime or something, and really screws it over even more or something. As I said last point, as I also talked about in my Bleach video, it also hurts animes being released, in one batch. For example, with JoJo now, right? So I think Netflix is probably gonna drop it in one. I'm just guessing, but if Netflix is gonna drop the last episode, in like one batch, it's gonna hurt it too. You know what I mean? It's gonna hurt it too, right? So. Very frustrating. But okay, please subscribe. So that's the one. What do you guys think? Will they come back? We clearly know it's not coming back this season at least. At least it's a month delay. Bare minimum is a month, right? But I think it's much more than that given the other thing. So I think we won't even see it this year, right? And honestly, I think it might be cancelled. I will put out. I don't feel it's hyperbolic saying it's cancelled because reading this thing, seeing all the issues, I do think that they might not actually finish it, right? Or at least for a long time, because again, then the actors are like, oh, I got this other anime I need to work on, right? That is currently airing or whatever. So it might be pushed and pushed, right? So who knows? Again, it's on Netflix, I don't know. It just feels like when it's losing its time slot, right? It's gonna be less prioritized for those actors, right? Obviously, Ojisan, famous actor, and he's probably gonna do other animes, right? That he might have to do before going back to Ojisan, right? That's the thing too. So this might be delayed for years, or maybe no, yeah. So sad days, guys. Anyway, see you guys and have a great day.